Thursday evening, the sky over South Philadelphia turned the color of bruised steel. The forecast said light rain. Instead, the clouds cracked open, dumping a wall of water onto cracked sidewalks and flickering street lamps. Most people ran for cover. 14-year-old Deshawn Carter didn't have that luxury. He was walking home from his under-the-table shift at the corner store, thin jacket soaked, sneakers squishing with every step. His grandmother would be waiting, worried sick, but the storm made every block feel like a mile. Lightning flashed, revealing a figure ahead, an old white man, expensive coat plastered to his body, one hand gripping a lamp post. His breathing was shallow, labored. Cars splashed past him without slowing down. No umbrella, no phone, no help. Keep walking, Deshawn told himself. Grandma's alone. I'm already soaked. Someone else will help. Then the old man collapsed to his knees. Deshawn moved before he realized it. Sir? You okay? The man looked up, dazed. I just need to get home. Rittenhouse Square. Can't find my phone. His voice shook like his hands. A Blacktown car sat half a block away, its driver standing in the rain holding an umbrella. Mr. Reynolds, please, let me take you, the man called. No, the old man snapped. I'm not going with Edwards. Nothing made sense. But Deshawn didn't ask questions. He pulled the man to his feet, feeling the weight of someone nearly twice his size. Lean on me. I'll walk you. Son, that's 12 blocks, the man whispered. I know, Deshawn said. But you're not dying on a sidewalk tonight. They moved slowly, one step, then the next, wind whipping so hard it felt like the rain wanted to peel their skin off. Water filled the holes in Deshawn's sneakers until every step burned. His jacket clung to the old man's shoulders like wet paper. Cars hissed by. People stared but didn't stop. Halfway through the walk, the man spoke again, breath trembling. My name is William Reynolds. Deshawn nodded, not recognizing it. I had a son once, William said quietly. Kind boy. Wanted to build bridges. He's been gone 17 years. Deshawn didn't know what to say, but something softened in him. You're seeing me right now, he finally said. That counts for something. When they reached Rittenhouse Square, where the sidewalks turned clean and the buildings glowed warm behind heavy green awnings, the doorman rushed out. Mr. Reynolds. My God, what happened? His eyes landed on Deshawn. Immediately, suspicion. That silent, sharp judgment Deshawn knew too well. Young man, help me home, William said firmly. Inside the lobby, marble floors gleaming, William tried to press $500 into Deshawn's hands. Rent, medicine, food, a lifeline. But Deshawn stepped back. I didn't help you for money, sir. William stared, stunned. You need it. Doesn't matter. Kindness isn't a transaction. Slowly, William nodded, a look in his eyes Deshawn couldn't name. Respect. Maybe something deeper. He pressed a card into Deshawn's hand instead. William J. Reynolds, founder and chairman, Reynolds Foundation. If you ever need anything, William said, voice almost shaking, call me. I won't forget you. Deshawn walked home alone through the rain, cold, aching, exhausted, yet feeling strangely lighter. Like something in the universe had shifted. He didn't know it yet, but that choice, the boy who helped an old man in a storm, was already echoing far beyond those 12 blocks. Tomorrow morning, 3 black SUVs would roll up to his building, and everyone would wonder what a poor boy like him had done to make men in suits come looking. Friday morning, South Philadelphia woke to the sound of engines, deep, heavy, too polished for this neighborhood. 3 black SUVs rolled to a stop outside Deshawn Carter's crumbling apartment building. Tinted windows, chrome rims, quiet power. Neighbors froze. Mrs. Washington clutched her rosary. Kids on bikes scattered like pigeons. Someone whispered, FBI. Someone else muttered, oh Lord, who got arrested now? Inside apartment 3C, Deshawn lay on the couch under a pile of blankets, feverish from the storm. His grandmother, Loretta, was stirring tea when she heard the commotion. She went to the window and gasped. Deshawn, baby, come here. He hobbled over, still sore from the night before. He saw them. The suits. The earpieces. The leather folder. Grandma, I swear I didn't do anything. Footsteps thundered up the staircase, steady, deliberate. Loretta grabbed his shoulders, voice trembling. Did you steal? Did you fight someone? Tell me the truth. I didn't, Deshawn insisted, heart pounding like a drum inside his ribs. A knock. Sharp, official. Bam, bam, bam. Loretta opened the door with the chain still on. A woman stood there, mid-40s, crisp charcoal suit, hair pinned back, expression serious but warm. Mrs. Carter? I'm Jennifer Hose, Director of Special Projects for the Reynolds Foundation. We're here for Deshawn. Loretta blinked. Why? Is he in trouble? Jennifer smiled softly. No, ma'am. Quite the opposite. The chain slid open. The moment Jennifer stepped inside and saw Deshawn, small, feverish, anxious, her expression softened. Mr. Reynolds sent me. He'd like to speak with you tomorrow morning. Deshawn stiffened. He remembers me? Jennifer reached into her briefcase and handed him a thick cream-colored envelope sealed with a gold Reynolds emblem. He insisted you receive this immediately. Deshawn opened it carefully. Inside, a handwritten note, looping elegant script. Deshawn, you asked for nothing. That's why I want to give you everything you need. We'll talk about your future tomorrow. WR. And below it, a check for $5,000. Memo. Rent, medicine, peace of mind. Loretta dropped into the nearest chair, hand over her mouth as tears filled her eyes. The bills, the medicine, the rent. Months of fear, lifted by a slip of paper. Baby, she whispered, voice breaking. What did you do last night? I just walked him home, Grandma, Deshawn said. He needed help. Jennifer stepped closer. Mr. Reynolds said you saved his life. And he is extremely grateful. A car will pick you both up tomorrow at 9:45 a.m. She turned to leave, but paused in the doorway. Deshawn, rest tonight. Tomorrow will be important. The SUVs rumbled away, leaving neighbors whispering in doorways, staring at the boy in apartment 3C like they had never seen him before. Once the door closed, Loretta pulled Deshawn into her arms, crying openly now. Your daddy is smiling down on you. He is. He truly is. Deshawn hugged her back, overwhelmed. The room felt too small for what had just happened. Too small for the weight lifting off their shoulders. Too small for hope that suddenly seemed possible. That night, they used the check to pay rent, refill medicines, and stock the fridge with food they hadn't bought in months. Loretta made chicken and rice. Deshawn laughed for the first time in years. But lying in bed later, staring at the ceiling, he felt something he didn't know how to name. Anticipation. Fear. Wonder. Why would a billionaire want to see me? And what did he mean by future? He didn't know. Tomorrow, he would. Because William Reynolds didn't just want to thank him. He wanted to change everything. Saturday morning arrived quiet and heavy, the kind of morning where the world holds its breath. At exactly 9:45 a.m., a black Mercedes pulled up outside the building. The driver stepped out, polished shoes touching cracked pavement, and opened the door with a respectful nod. Mr. Carter, he said, we've been expecting you. Deshawn smoothed the front of his best shirt, slightly too big, sleeves a little long, and glanced at his grandmother. She fixed his collar, tears glistening in her eyes. You be polite, Loretta whispered. And you remember who you are? You walk in there like you belong. Yes, ma'am. The ride was silent, the city sliding past in soft morning light. When the car turned into the construction site on Broad Street, the same place Deshawn used to press his face against the fence, he felt his breath catch. Now the gates opened for him. The driver led them into a sleek administration trailer filled with blueprints and scale models. And in the center, leaning slightly on a cane, stood William Reynolds. He looked older than the night of the storm. Tired. Frail. But when he saw Deshawn, his face broke into a warm, almost relieved smile. Deshawn, he said, voice thick. You came. Yes, sir, Deshawn whispered. They sat at a long table. Loretta took the seat beside her grandson, eyes sharp, protective. William folded his hands, took a slow breath, and began. I owe you an explanation, he said. About that night, and about why you're here. Deshawn shook his head. You don't owe me anything. William smiled sadly. You're wrong. I owe you more than I can ever repay. He reached into a folder and pulled out a medical report, heart scans, numbers, charts. Thursday afternoon, William said quietly, my cardiologist told me I have 6 months, maybe a year. Loretta gasped. Deshawn froze. William continued, steady but fragile. I've spent my life building things, bridges, towers, foundations. But I lost my wife 10 years ago, my son 17 years ago, and somewhere along the way, I stopped seeing people. I stopped caring. He looked at Deshawn with tired, grateful eyes. Thursday night, when I walked into that storm, I didn't care if I made it home. A long silence. But then you came, William whispered. A boy with nothing to spare, no coat, no money, no safety, and you gave me everything you had. You lifted me. You carried me. You saw me. He wiped away a tear. Deshawn, you reminded me why I built all this. Why my son dreamed of building bridges. You reminded me that kindness still exists. He slid another folder across the table. This, he said, is my thank you. Deshawn opened it. His heart stopped. Inside were documents, official, embossed, spelling out the impossible. A full scholarship to any university in the country. Tuition, books, housing, a $50,000 yearly stipend so he would never have to work at the corner store again. 8 years of support, undergrad and graduate school. Total value, over $1.2 million. I want you, William said softly, to become the engineer your father and my son would have been proud of. Deshawn couldn't breathe, but William wasn't finished. I also want you to help design the pedestrian bridge for this youth center. Your ideas, your vision, will guide our engineering team. Deshawn stared, stunned. Him? A kid no one noticed? And your grandmother, William added gently. She shouldn't be scrubbing sheets with arthritis. I want to offer her a position here, community outreach coordinator. Part-time. Full benefits. Salary, $65,000 a year. Loretta burst into tears, covering her face. Deshawn looked from her to William, overwhelmed. Why me? There are other kids who need this. William shook his head. You didn't help me because you wanted something. You helped me because it was right. That kind of heart is rare, and it deserves to be nurtured, not buried. He leaned forward. Deshawn, will you accept my offer? Deshawn picked up the pen. His hand trembled. His eyes burned. He signed. And in that small, trembling signature, a new future began. The Mercedes ride home felt unreal. Deshawn held the thick folder on his lap like it might disappear if he blinked. His grandmother clutched her job offer letter with both hands, whispering prayers of gratitude under her breath. When they reached apartment 3C, Loretta didn't even make it through the doorway. She hugged Deshawn and sobbed into his shoulder. Baby, our whole life just changed. They spent the evening reading every page again. The scholarship, the stipend, the job, the healthcare, the bridge design project. Each sentence felt like a miracle printed in black ink. For the first time in years, they ordered pizza. Not day-old slices. Fresh. Hot. Delivered. That night, Deshawn lay awake, staring at the ceiling, thinking about William, about Michael, about the storm. I was ready to drop out, he thought. Now I'm going to college. Any college. He didn't fall asleep until well past midnight. 3 months later, December. By winter, Deshawn was unrecognizable, at least to the people who once overlooked him. No longer the invisible boy in the back row, he spent Saturdays in the Reynolds Center's design lab, collaborating with engineers 3 times his age. They listened to him, respected him. His ideas, his curves, his sketches would shape the pedestrian bridge connecting the community to the library. The Philadelphia Inquirer ran a front-page article. The Storm Walker. Teen's act of kindness leads to $1.2 million scholarship and the design of Philly's newest landmark. Cameras showed him in a hard hat explaining load distribution like he'd been doing it for years. At school, teachers approached him with pride. Students whispered, pointed, stared. Some stared with admiration. Some with bitterness. Must be nice. Dude walked one old white guy home and got rich. Why him? Deshawn tried to ignore it, but words stick. One night, he called William. People say I didn't earn any of this. William chuckled softly. People always talk, Deshawn. Especially when they're afraid there isn't enough opportunity for everyone. So show them there is. And with that call, an idea formed. The Storm Walker Initiative. At the December press conference, cameras crowded the stage as William and Deshawn stood together. William's voice shook slightly, but his conviction didn't. Deshawn is not an exception, he announced. There are thousands of young people with his heart, his potential, and his circumstances. So today we launched the Storm Walker Initiative. Gasps. Flashes. Reporters scribbling. 10 additional scholarships every year. $500,000 annually. Funded forever. Created in honor of one boy's kindness. Deshawn stepped to the podium, nervous but steady. I wasn't trying to change my life that night, he said. I was just trying to help. So if you ever get the chance to help someone, even if no one sees it, do it. You never know how far that kindness will travel. His speech went viral. The world didn't just know his story now. The world believed in it. Transformation at home. Loretta flourished in her new job. Light returned to her eyes. The constant pain eased thanks to therapy and medicine she could finally afford. She walked without limping, smiled more, slept more. At family dinners, she would say, "I don't just have a grandson anymore. I have a purpose." And Deshawn felt it too. His drawings came alive for the first time. He dreamed in bridges, thought in blueprints, lived in possibilities. Even the community changed. Mr. Kowalski framed Deshawn's newspaper article. Lincoln High saw a 40% jump in STEM interest. Kids from the block asked him about scholarships. Teachers used his story in morning announcements. A single storm had become a movement, but it wasn't finished. The real bridge, the one rising in steel and concrete, was only halfway built. And 1 year later, Deshawn would stand upon it and face another moment that would test everything he'd learned about kindness, humility, and destiny. June 2026. The summer sun rose over Broad Street, glinting off steel beams and fresh concrete. The Storm Walker Bridge, the bridge Deshawn had helped dream into existence, was finally under construction. Every Saturday, he arrived in a hard hat and safety vest, notebook in hand, shadowing engineers who treated him like one of their own. One afternoon, an engineer named Morales nudged him. "Your curve design? We're using it." The city approved it. Deshawn stared at the blueprint, stunned. His line, his arc, his idea, becoming real steel and stone. "You earned this," Morales added. But Deshawn remembered the night in the rain, the weight of William on his shoulder, the feeling of being invisible. "I didn't earn it alone," he thought. It started with kindness. By August, the center was nearly complete. 5 stories of glass, community rooms, robotics labs, tutoring lounges, and the bridge connecting it all to the public library. The mayor visited. News crews came. Donors toured. Everyone quoted the same line. "Inspired by a boy who walked an old man home in a storm." The whole city knew Deshawn now, not as the poor kid from 3C, but as the future engineer whose story sparked change. Opening day, September 2026. 500 students streamed through the doors on opening day. The air buzzed with excitement, possibility, and a little fear. Deshawn, now 15 and officially enrolled, walked beside his grandmother, who wore her new employee badge proudly. "Baby, look at this place," she whispered, eyes watering. "You helped build this." Deshawn smiled, overwhelmed. "We built it, Grandma." William was there too, frielier, thinner, but standing tall. When he saw Deshawn, he opened his arms. "My boy," he said warmly. "Ready for year 1? "Yes, sir," Deshawn answered, trying not to show how much William's cane and oxygen tank scared him. During the ribbon-cutting ceremony, Deshawn gave a speech. "This bridge isn't just steel. It's a promise that where you start doesn't decide where you finish." Applause roared. Cameras flashed. Loretta cried. The first semester flew by. Students thrived. Teachers raved. The center became a beacon for the whole community. Crime dropped. Graduation rates rose. Other philanthropists copied the model. A single storm had turned into a citywide movement. But William was fading. Despite treatments, his heart grew weaker. He attended events when he could, always insisting on hearing Deshawn's updates, his physics scores, his bridge sketches, his dreams. One winter afternoon, William pulled Deshawn aside. "You know," he said, "when Michael died, I thought I'd never meet another kid like him. But then I met you." Deshawn swallowed hard. "You're not allowed to talk like that, sir." William smiled gently. "I'm allowed to be proud. And I am. More than you know." Deshawn looked down, blinking fast. "Sir, the bridge, it'll carry your son's name. Forever. And yours," William said. "Because kindness deserves to be remembered too." 1 year later, September 2027. The Storm Walker Bridge lit up the night sky, LED lights tracing its elegant curve. Tourists stopped to take photos. Families strolled across it. Students used it daily. Deshawn crossed it every evening after robotics club. Sometimes he stopped at the center of the bridge to look at the city reflection in the water, thinking about his father, about William, about the storm that changed everything. That night, a gentle rain fell, nothing like the storm from years before. Just soft drops tapping the bridge rails. As he walked, he spotted a girl, maybe 13, struggling to help her elderly grandmother across the slick sidewalk. Cars honked. People brushed past. The girl looked overwhelmed. Deshawn stepped forward. Need help? She looked suspicious. We're fine. Deshawn smiled. I've got time. He carried the grandmother's bag, steadied her walker, led them safely to their building. The girl looked up, confused. Why would you do that? Deshawn reached into his pocket and handed her a card. Someone once helped me in the rain. It changed everything. She stared at him, softening. Thank you. He nodded and walked away, the rain tapping lightly over the bridge named in honor of kindness. He didn't know it, but that girl would become the next Storm Walker scholar. Because kindness never stops at one person. It keeps walking. The rain had eased into a soft mist as Deshawn crossed the Storm Walker Bridge, backpack slung over one shoulder, sneakers tapping a rhythm on the glowing pathway. Below him, the river mirrored the city lights. Amber, blue, gold, like the whole world was shimmering. His phone buzzed. A message from William. Dinner Thursday. I want to hear about your MIT application. Deshawn smiled. Yes, sir, he whispered into the empty air. He had come so far. From $7 an hour shifts and emergency jars of spare change, to physics competitions, engineering internships, and scholarship committees knowing his name. But none of it felt as important as what had happened earlier that evening, helping a frightened girl and her grandmother cross a rainy street. It was simple, quiet, unseen, yet he knew better than anyone. Those were the moments that changed lives. Just like the night he saw William collapse in the storm. Just like the night he decided to stop walking past. Weeks later, a call that shifted the air. Deshawn was in the center's computer lab when Jennifer approached him gently. Deshawn, she said, voice soft. William's asking for you. His stomach dropped. William hadn't been well. The treatments had bought him time, but time was a fragile currency. The drive to the Rittenhouse building felt surreal, like the night he'd first walked through that storm. Only now the roles were reversed. When Deshawn entered the apartment, William was sitting near a window, wrapped in a blanket, city lights reflecting in his tired eyes. Come here, my boy, William whispered. Deshawn knelt beside him. I'm proud of you, William said. Not because of scholarships or designs, but because you never stopped being the boy who helped a stranger in the rain. Tears blurred Deshawn's vision. I learned from you, sir. William shook his head weakly. No, I learned from you. You gave my final years purpose. Do you understand? You brought my son's dream back to life. Deshawn took his frail hand. Your family to me. A small smile. Soft. Peaceful. Your family to me, too. That was the last real conversation they had. William passed quietly 3 days later. Peaceful, dignified, surrounded by people he had finally learned how to love again. A city pauses to honor a life. The funeral filled the cathedral. Politicians, philanthropists, construction workers, students, janitors, people from every corner of the city came to honor the man who rebuilt Philadelphia and the boy who rebuilt his heart. Deshawn spoke last. He didn't save me, Deshawn said, voice steady. I saved him from giving up, and he saved me from disappearing. Every person in the room rose to their feet. 1 year later, Dedication Day. At the entrance of the Storm Walker Bridge, a new plaque was unveiled. In memory of Michael Reynolds and William J. Reynolds, who believed bridges, literal and human, can change the world. And to Deshawn Carter, who proved it. Deshawn, older now, taller, stood beside Loretta as crowds gathered. Jennifer approached with an envelope. This came from William, she said. He asked us to give it to you today. Inside was a letter written in William's uneven handwriting. Deshawn, if you're reading this, then I've crossed my final bridge. But I leave something behind. The foundation is yours someday. Not because of your grades. Not because of your brilliance, though you have both. But because you lead with heart. Never stop walking toward people who need you. Never stop building what others say is impossible. You are the bridge now. W.R. Deshawn folded the letter to his chest, eyes closed, breathing deeply. He understood the responsibility, the weight, the honor, and he accepted it. The ripple continues. Years later, Deshawn would become a civil engineer, MIT graduate, youth advocate, and eventually the director of the Reynolds Foundation. The girl he helped in the rain? She became a Storm Walker scholar. Kids across Philadelphia grew up knowing his story, telling it like folklore. But the truth was simple. He was just a boy who made a choice in a storm. A choice to help. A choice to see someone others ignored. A choice that grew into a bridge made of steel, and a bridge made of people. And every time he crossed that glowing walkway at night, hearing the hum of the city below, he whispered the same words he'd spoken at age 14. Kindness is never wasted.